right. We got Boss Cowboy
Let's get into
Sports
it.
with OC, man. Let's go.
Let's get into it, man. Coming to the building, get the like, share, and subscribe. Latest and the greatest Cowboys content in the news. Boss Sports all day long.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, we continue our series where we solving these issues. Where we talking about Kellen more being more creative. And we gonna talk about it. We gonna really talk about it. We gonna talk about the sabotage. Be real clear about it. Yeah, man. Because it's a small degree of it. And I think a lot of people don't see it. But we gonna definitely address it today, dog. We gonna deal with it. And we have it here. The OC's film session, Kellen Moore. The lack of creativeness in the running game and how to fix it. That's a big issue.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Let's get it. Yep. We'll be talking about how
Tell
to
your
fix
friends
it.
and loved ones to go ahead and tap in, man. We about to get into some real football meat sandwich right here, man. This is pure unadulterated real. You can go get a lot of that today, man. No chaser, just straight through it.
Yep. All day, big dog. Easy money. Easy money, man. Y'all come on in. Y'all coming in. We'll be right back. Let's go, man. The OC, man, finna bring that straight business.
Straight business. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, man. Smash the like button as y'all come into the building, man. For the latest and greatest in Cowboys sports and news, follow Boss Cowboy Sports on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can follow me, the OC100, on Twitter. All right?
Alright, we got it. Alright, man, welcome to Boss Cowboy Sports. We got the OC in the building, man. I'm excited about today, man. This is going to be an in-depth film session. And we go, after getting in depth with the film session, we really still dealing with how to solve the problems that we seeing. Now, I was talking to the OC today, and we was talking about, the word sabotage. The word sabotage is strong, right? And when most people hear sabotage, they think very diabolical, right? Very diabolical. I said this before, I want to say it again. It's not as diabolical as what we think. It's more so what Mike McCarthy was talking about, and I'm going to kind of break that down, what he was talking about with the OC real quick, because it's really more so in the spirit. Give me a second, I gotta correct something. It's more so in the spirit of what the OC was saying, or or what Mike McCarthy was saying. But OC, can you expound on your concerns on the word sabotage, my brother?
Yeah, man. Sabotage is something that, indicates a foiling of all plans. And so, with that particular lens of it, it's really important to clarify in terms of kind of what you meant, right? And it's really in a sense of me trying to angle to get my way. And if I can put it in a very childlike way, it's like I'm not per se trying to sabotage dinner, but I am throwing my vegetables into the trash and acting like I ate them so I can get a cookie after dinner. You know what I'm saying? So it's not sabotage, it's more manipulating to get my way. It's more so.
I'm gonna put my hoodie on that one, dog. All right, so this is the deal. Let me take my hoodie off. I ain't feeling hoodie right now. I'll feel hoodie in a minute though. All right, so let's get a background real quick. So this is where we come from. Listen to Mike McCarthy, and we do have the links in the description. Check this out.
Consider you being the play caller and being more hands-on in how that's run.
I don't think that's the best way to run an offense. I've told you the first day I was standing here, whoever calls the offense will install it. It's important for the player, and it's the way I've always done it. It's important for the play caller. It's the way I've always done it, that every call on that play sheet he has to believe in.
See, that's the key part right there, is that every call or play on that call sheet, you got to believe it. And the next part that he said is where we talking about sabotage. Listen.
For the play caller, it's the way I've always done it, that every call on that play sheet he has to believe in, because you won't call it. I've worked for some defensive head coaches that once in a while would have a great idea, and he's your boss, so you put it in the plan, and I'd run it in the first two plays just to get it off the goddamn call sheet. So sorry, I apologize for that bullshit.
And that's the sabotage we're talking about. Is that mental disposition that he's trying to avoid with Kellen Moore. And he's always been trying to avoid that by empowering Kellen Moore, giving him the freedom to believe in his cause. So let me just let it go a little bit.
But so I'll be honest, I laugh at that stuff, but I don't try to do that to Kellen. But I have input. I have things I see, and I tell him this is how I think the game. Be aware of this and that. But for him to be, or anybody, the way we do it on offense, defense, and special teams is the same. The play callers install. So obviously the head coach can have input in anything he wants. We all understand that, and even during the game. So yeah, I have that ability. But for us to be the best that we can be, I feel that's the way you should run your offense, defense, and special teams.
OC, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I think that he's trying to really be a good leader and develop his play callers and let his staff have confidence and a degree of autonomy. And I think that that's his heart. But what he said is a key word. He said, try. I've tried not to do this with Kellen Moore. In other words, that's code for I've seen some things not going quite as well as I would like them to go, but I've tried to not discourage him or take over his play calls with all of my feedback. Now, as we progressed, Boss Cowboy, and as we got to the Dak injury and the need to really establish a run and work off of play action, you've seen Mike McCarthy in interviews publicly be more vocal about what he intends and what we should be doing and what we should not change because of the fact that it was not working. His laid-back approach was not working. His off-hands approach was not working. And so he had to adapt to the coach of the Dallas Cowboys and also his coaching personnel in the sense of Kellen Moore and be a little bit more hands-on and vocal in order to get things done. But I still like his heart and his perspective for the purposes of trying to be successful and win football games. And that's the deal, man. That's the difference.
Yeah. And so check this out. So that was the press conference right after the San Francisco loss. So to catch you up, what happened in the offseason is front office was publicly putting pressure on Mike McCarthy. They was publicly saying, we want to know, what do you do? Because we don't know. That's what they were saying. And they were saying it through Bobby Bell. So then it began to be off-season pressure on basically how do you differentiate yourself from Kellen Moore? And that's when he began to talk about the matchup philosophy that he has, you know, and finally, after Kellen Moore past happy ways fell apart after Tampa won, he came out and he really totally separated himself. We leading up to the film. So check this out. This was 2 weeks ago.
And real quick before you go, Boss Cowboy.
So we get to talk a little ball here.
Go ahead.
No, man, I'm just shout out to what 113. He said somebody sabotaged my my mustache, man. Thank you. That's funny, dude. That was hilarious. I laughed. I'm gonna shave it down for you, big dog. Don't worry about it, man. We'll come back fresh and clean the next show, man. That was fun.
Somebody messed up.
On me. He said somebody sabotaged my mustache. All right, man. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry. That's
man, you stopped the
man.
show for that, dog. You crazy, OC.
No, it's funny though, man. Go ahead.
Man, you want some jokes? Hold on, man. You messed up my flow now, bro. Hold on now.
Go ahead.
I'm totally messed up now, for real.
No, you good.
No, I'm not good. I'm trying to get back. Give me a second. Okay, I figured it out. Here it is. I got it. All right. So, Coach Moss said, "Boss, it's when things get tough in the run game. If you're not committed to something, you're not going to be creative as he should be to make it work." Yeah.
True. Facts.
Yeah. So yeah, and it is when it get tough. So, let me go back to this real quick. Mike McCarthy. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Here we go. Sorry about that, y'all.
But no, I've never been a big
DMV,
option
what's up?
thrower. Your concept in the past. And a lot of great questions today, but this is my favorite. So we get to talk a little ball here. But no, I've never been a big option route thrower. Your concept in the past.
That's a shot at Kellen.
I can't get enough of it. We got McCarthy in stereo.
Yeah, it's a little weird hearing your voice. I don't know.
What boy,
No,
Mike?
but
Wow.
Option to answer your question.
It's kind of weird hearing your voice.
It's an option routes take a lot of time, you know. And option, if you're in the traditional West Coast offense, it's. I tell you, we need to win this week because this thing's turning into a zoo in here. But yeah. But option routes, so they take a lot of time, Michael. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, if you're going to run option routes, you need to live in that world. That's been my experience. You can't dabble on it. You know, option routes are really not part of the old traditional West Coast offense. I've had quarterbacks in the past that didn't really like them, and it's really about the connection that they have with the receiver. I've been in systems where only certain guys run them. You know, this is the most aggressive system that I've been in as far as many people that do run the option routes. And so I think you see our commitment to practice. We practice it.
Yeah. So he was, and see, most people don't see this, OC. They don't see that it's a divide. Most people they have no idea that this is a public, subtle power struggle between Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore.
Yeah, man. And you could hear the hesitation. If you look at his body language, this is the most I've seen option routes done. Basically, that's code for you overdoing it.
Mm-hmm.
Then he would say, well, in previous offenses, I've only seen maybe one receiver you be able to run an option route. That means that every player is not skilled enough to read the defense and to be trusted with running an option route. So there you go there. And so, you know, at the end of the day, he's saying that, hey, I've never seen you. This is number 3. I've never seen you dabble, you know, in an option route. It was something that either you lived in that world or you didn't. So, you know, it's more so like, hey, man, you can't, you know, everything everything don't go good in a stew. Everything don't go good. It's certain things that's meant to be in a good stew, man. You got meat, you got potatoes, maybe you put some carrots, maybe you put a little bit of onion. That's kind of like your trinity. You have a little bit of water, Worcestershire sauce. You put in some masa, some flour to thicken it up, and then all of a sudden, boss cowboy, you want to throw in a piece of old cake. Wait a minute. I thought
Wait.
we was making stew. Then you threw in a piece of old cake. Oh, here, just put this in here too. So wait a minute. Wait, man. Wait. You're doing too much, man. You're doing too much. You had me. You were doing good until you got some old stale cake and then dumped it into the stew and then try to stir it up. Here, this is good. This is a good stew. This is a good stew. So that's what Kellen Moore does, man, offensively with some of the willy-nilly stuff that he does. And basically, Mike McCarthy in a nice way, and I'm just interpreting what I see. He's basically calling some of the stuff he sees in a real cool way, willy-nilly. Like, okay, that made sense, but okay, this really don't make that much sense because we're supposed to be doing this. So, he's very logical and methodical, and I like that about him as a coach, man. It's just funny to see this stuff unfold, man.
It is. I just wish more people could see it. I really do, man. Somebody say, I'm loving the content, boss. Keep grinding, dog. Yeah, man. Men OC, man. We be working, big dog. And this is stuff we believe in. So we wanted to put in the work to kind of showcase exactly what we seeing with the film. But we had to get a background because we always have new subscribers who don't know about the background. We had somebody come in and say, what's going on? What is this? Like, when you get new people, you got to catch them up. A lot of y'all already caught up, but we catching people up at the same time. Now, so then after that, it was pretty obvious, especially last week when Mike McCarthy came out and said, I don't foresee us going back. Or he talk about that real quick, OC, if you don't mind, and the context of where he was coming from.
Yeah, so when Mike McCarthy was talking about we don't see us going back, he was basically saying that, hey, we don't need to be pass happy. We need to stay committed to the run. We need to be simplistic and just win football games and not put too much pressure on our backup quarterback, who, by the way, Cooper Rush has been playing awesome. He's done a great job. So salute and hats off to him in Dak's absence with his injury. So that was basically a public declaration that do not change this offense and get cute. Continue to run the ball, Kellen. Do not go to spread and empty, Kellen. Run this football because it's been effective and we've been winning by running this football. So now, because Dallas is very, very political and it's a corporate type environment, even in the media, and so it took Mike a little bit to learn this, and now he's playing a game, right? He's signaling out and giving out messages to people in the media interviews and things like that. He's carrying out his affairs in the Dallas Cowboys way, okay, which is get more attention at all costs and air out your affairs publicly, not privately, right? So if Kellen Moore, and we were talking about this earlier, Boss Cowboy, goes back to trying to throw this football and we lose, oh my goodness, it's going to be Hades to pay, because Mike McCarthy came out, and Mike McCarthy's smart too. He's also covering his butt. He's also saying, I got enough sense to know what we should be doing. So I'm going to put it out here, and if you go opposite of me and we lose these games, this is 110% on you.
Right.
Now he's separating himself from any mistakes that the young OC may make, instead of falling back and taking the blame and being quote unquote evaluated, as they talked about in the offseason, right? He's separating himself from the decisions that are being made that may not be in his control. So wise by Mike McCarthy.
So, and see, because you was fighting me on that, OC.
You're correct, man.
I told you Mike McCarthy was a wise king, bro. I told you, man. That dude.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it.
I'm
called. Seeing it now.
He called.
I'm seeing it.
This is coach of the year stuff he pulling.
Yeah.
It's low-key coach of the year type of stuff. When you able to navigate through the toxic Dallas political environment, you nice.
Right.
You nice. Right. And
right.
he doing it. And he doing it with an unfriendly media.
Unforgiving. Very unforgiving.
Yeah, so so anyway, getting back to the business. So after that, and then we go get into the film, because I know that's what y'all here for, because the film is the most important part. and we go get right into it. And I'm gonna shut up. OC go do all the work on that. But I made this before the Washington Commanders game because of the obvious dilemma, and it's not obvious, I guess, to some, but it's obvious to us, right? And we've been doing a lot of research on this, so to us, it's obvious, but to some, it's not. But like, Mike is obviously trying to rein in Kellen, and he doesn't want to be reined in. He doesn't. So like, even when you watch how he answered the question about his urge to run the ball, it's exactly what we warned about in terms of sabotage. So this was after the Washington Commanders game. Listen to his response when they talk about the urges to not pass and stick to the run game, which we all now know that's from Mike McCarthy trying to rein him in. Listen to his response.
Earlier in your play calling career, were you as persistent with the run when you're kind of beating your head against the wall like that?
Everything inside of me wanted to throw the football the entire Sunday. So,
You think he playing?
Dead serious.
He dead serious. And see, he dead serious because that sneaky grin. That sneaky grin as the question was unfolding. Just look at him. Just peep the body language, everybody. Look.
Earlier in your play calling career, were you as persistent with the run when you're kind of beating your head against the wall like that?
Everything inside of me wanted to throw the football the entire Sunday. So, but you learn, you grow.
You learn, you grow. See, that's his.
Basically, that was the I hate this grin. Did you see the I hate this grin?
Yep. You learn, you
Head
grow.
down, chin tucked, right to the right. Right is the dominant side. And I studied some courses on body language. That's just because of sales. But look, that's that he's shucking it off and then he smiles. That's that I really hate this grin, but I can't show it. That's what that is. That's the I hate this grin. Go ahead.
And then Coach Moff say, see, Kellen has to work on his passing game. You got to explain that some, Coach. I don't really get that.
Yeah.
Don't know
Well,
what you
I
mean
think
by
I think I know what he means, and we'll get into it a little bit in the film. But go ahead and elaborate a little bit more on that, Coach.
Yeah, elaborate on that more. I don't know what you mean. But yeah, it's so like, and see, we know this because I also study sales, and we know this from sales, OC, that 80% of communication is body language. 80%. Nonverbal. So it's our ability to be able to read the nonverbals to where you can pick up the intuitive language, what's being said, not the actual language. You got to know that in sales, or you're not going to be a good salesperson. You're just not. If you can't be able to see what you're saying without you actually saying it, then you probably won't even understand what me and the OC talking about. We talking about, but we both been on very high levels. But let's just watch this one more time, and then we'll break down the film.
Earlier in your play calling career, were you as persistent with the run when you're kind of beating your head against the wall like that?
Everything inside of me wanted to throw the football the entire Sunday. So,
and he not playing. And so,
Dead serious.
And when we pointed out how he was throwing vertical shots in the fourth quarter, he telling you why.
you learn, you grow.
You learn, you grow.
You know, I think it's just understanding there's different styles to every game. And
yeah. And see, so going back to sabotage, and then we go get into the film. All right. So we gotta ask that question about sabotage. You gotta ask that question, not in a diabolical way. I just want to repeat that, but in the way of how Mike McCarthy was saying, in the way to where the OC was saying, to where I know the best way to get to my dessert is to throw my food in the trash. That type of sabotage. That type of sabotage. And you have to ask that question, especially when you look at the production and you look at the historic production, right? So when you look at the historic production, and then we get into the film. But I promise y'all, we had to do all of this before the film. Okay, and if I miss y'all super chats, it's because I'm producing the show at the same time. I can't see everything. But see, yeah, you can see this was one of Zeke's worst games. And this ain't the first time he played Washington where he's had success. You know what I'm saying? And way better averages. And some of this was under Kellen Moore. And so I made the case, and we finna get into the film now. Then we go talk about how to fix it for big games. How to fix the sabotage. Because the OC, he gonna lay out how we didn't use counter traps, but we should. How we didn't use lead toss, but we should have. How we should have opened up the middle with motion jets and jet sweeps. How we could have also used the screen game and short passes to also soften up the middle and have a change up to stubborn run plays that's similar to the run. He gonna get into all of that, right? But before we do, it's on UOC, man. I'm finna shut up. Let me give you a straight business.
The OC.
Then I'm gonna give you your film.
No
breakdown.
emotions, no friends, no loyalty.
Straight business.
Straight business.
Put hashtag straight business in the chat.
The OC.
Film breakdown. The film breakdown.
All right, guys. So first of all, let's talk about some of the things that you might want to do better in terms of the run game and the run plays. Okay, so running back, Boss Cowboy. All right, if you can. All right, thank you. All right, so notice this is zone, okay? This is zone going to the left, which is not a bad play call, right? Based upon the alignment and the whip, and that's a 4 or 5 yard game, right? So that was zone. So zone left, zone right. It means everybody, they don't have a man, they have an area. So in this instance, everybody was stepping to the right. So this is zone right. All right, and then he bangs it up the middle. So we talked about this on the final word. This is overload, okay? Overload to the right, which is the stronger side, you know, probably veteran side of your line. Now that's an ISO, right? That's an ISO play, okay? So that's not a zone, that was an ISO play, right? Which is more like a dive, okay? So we'll just run through these and kind of see based on the alignment, but you'll see if you look in the middle of the defense that, you know, our center is kind of getting beat, giving up a lot of push. Ezekiel cuts it back and does a good job and gets as much as he can. That is zone going to the left now, okay? Everybody's stepping off to the left. They're not blocking the air, they're blocking the man. All right, and so we're cut right back into pain. That's a tackle for loss, man. And so, again, what you mainly see is zone left, zone right. Now you got a lead back, okay? So look at the person behind the quarterback. That's a lead back or a lead blocker. All right. And again, this is more zone with a lead blocker. But notice, I mean, Jason Peters gets his butt beat on that play. And, man, we got a tackle for loss. We got another lead blocker here. OK. All right. 68 lead blocker leading up in here. And then Ezekiel Elliott gets in here and gets what he can, because that's all he can do on a lead play that's meant to get 3 or 4 yards. So when you have a lead play, it's meant to get short yardage. That's a short yardage play. It's not meant to really pop. Right, that is an inverted zone. Those plays are meant to get up and get 2 or 3 yards. So these designs in terms of the play and in terms of the defense you see are not really designed to really pop through. They could pop through, but based upon the personnel of the Washington Commanders, it's not going to pop through. Again, Zeke is right there. He got to bang it up in there because he has nowhere else to go, because we're running it right into the teeth of this defense, right? You have Payne, you got Allen. These guys are really strong on the inside. Their linebackers play pretty sound most of the game. Montez Sweat is a really good run defender. He's a really good run defender as a defensive end. They didn't have Chase Young. And so you run into guys that are pretty good and stout against the run. And these guys are all first-round draft picks. They're pretty elite. And when you do that and you don't have another alternative strategy, you got double team. And so that was a trap, and that was a very successful play. So we did throw in a trap. We threw in a trap there with Matt Farnock, right? That was a guard trap, and we popped it to 5 yards. So that one was a good play in particular, right? Because now you double team the strength. All right, again, that was more of a zone read play. And Ezekiel popped it in there, you know, for a simple 4 or 5 yard gain. All right, so you got Tony Pollard. And now look at this formation, right? You got one tight end over by Terrence Steele. You got motion. That was good. And you got a zone play. You got the cut back by Tony Pollard. He pops it in there for 6 or 7 yards. that's not bad. But remember, the plays become predictable as you run them in the course of the game, and which is why that over the course of the game we were not as effective. Okay, and so you got this play here, which is really bad. You got Schultz trying to block, man, and I just don't like him front side trying to block, man. You need a bigger, stronger tight end in there trying to block. You got this ball get to Tony Pollard. You got a Schultz on the top by the left tackle releasing, and you got a draw play. And that draw play was awesome, right? Because you got these guys trying to get upfield and stop the run, so it opens up a lane. So that play in particular was pretty good. This play again going to Tony Pollard with a single back set. Again, this is more of a draw. Actually, I'm sorry, was that Ezekiel Elliott? My bad.
Yeah,
so this is more of a draw action here, right? And the draw action works pretty good if they're getting upfield and you're threatening them with passes down the field, right? You shouldn't run it. Again, this is more of a power zone, right? Power zone play, and then you got some physical defeats, and then you got tackles for losses here. So you got to mix this up a little bit, especially if you got stout interior run defenders and you got linebackers with pretty decent speed. Okay, that was a trap, but they use Schultz as a trap, and that's unsuccessful because Schultz is not a good blocker, right? And so now
you want me
got
to rewind it. I can rewind it too, big dog.
Rewind it, boss. Rewind it on that play.
Because I know
on
you're
the play
trying to
before
break
this.
down how Schultz missed that block.
Yeah,
Right here.
man. So, yep. All right, so here we go. Pause. So when you come around there, here's the thing. When you come around there, man, and you got Jason Peters, man, getting blown up. Jason Peters. Okay, so Jason Peters, all right, hit his man, good. All right, but he gets stood up. He doesn't get any movement on that defensive end. So Jason Peters on this play, okay, but not great, right? And then you got Schultz, which is not an aggressive run blocker. He's tippy-toeing, right? And then you got the backside getting in there in the backfield. This ends up being a tackle for loss. So, some of this is creativity, Boss Cowboy, but some of this also is just us getting beat physically one-on-one by these guys, man. These guys are getting up the field, creating havoc. They're beating blockers one-on-one, and they're getting off of blocks. And so, again, that was a get off a block. That was a play on Matt Furnuke where the DN, Montez Sweat, just got off the block. He made the play because really it was blocked up good at first, and then he got off the block and he made the tackle. So let's take a look at this one. All right, now you got another trap play. It's a guard trap, though, and that's the problem that I don't like. It's a guard trap. It's not a counter trap. And you got one of your best blockers who you're not moving, which to me is Tyler Smith. Let him use his power and create space. All right, this is another draw play, which I don't like that draw call because they were anticipating it. You hadn't set it up with a pass play. All right, so now you have an overload here. All right, you got overload to the right. All right, notice you got 3 tight end bodies right there. And then, that's just a physical defeat, man. That guy's in the backfield. Josh Allen's a beast, man. He just rewind that, boss. He's a beast, man. He just whipped him. What can you say? Look, he just whipped him.
It ain't no scheme for that. Ain't no scheme for that, big dog.
Ain't no play for that. Ain't no play for that, man. Okay, so let's look at this one more time. So look, when you get, all right, hold on one second. Okay, go ahead, hit it, and then okay, when you get this action, when you see this guy right here in the backfield, you see him.
He did.
You see him in the backfield as soon as he get the handoff.
Yeah, he did.
Hey, man, he dead in the water, man.
Yeah.
Tyler Biotis, he was helpless, man. He was helpless, man. He couldn't deal with that boy.
No.
So, anyway, here we go. Next play. All right, so this is more zone. And so Tony Pollard, because of his speed, he tries to bounce. But they played it beautifully, man. And Tony Pollard should have banged that play, but he's trying to use his speed. But they played it beautifully, man. And they just bottled him up. It was 3-4 bodies out there, right?
And you said bang. I know what you're talking about. I want you to explain bang as a concept.
All right, so as a concept, when you have zone actions, remember when you have zone, you have
and
everybody
zone
stepping
action.
into.
He talking about go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got you. When you talk about a zone, you have everybody stepping to the left or to the right, right? You're not blocking a man in a zone concept. You're blocking the area. If you think back in your football head to the Denver Broncos when they had Terrell Davis and he was ripping off 2,000-yard seasons, that's all they did. They ran zone, and he was such a great zone runner at reading the holes and the cutbacks, and they had a great line. They were not a big line. They were quick. and they could get to the edges of the defenders. And so what you see is you see a bounce outside. You see the first arrow on the graph, bounce outside. That's if this tackle to the left tackle gets a seal block, right? He hooks that defensive end. You can bounce it outside. You got to bang if you get movement, okay? That's the second arrow coming in, right? That's between the guard and tackle normally. And then if everybody pursues, they overflow, right? They over pursue trying to stop the bounce outside. Then you have a natural cutback, which is bend, right? So you got bounce, bang, and bend. And those are the three caveats on how you're going to run zone concepts effectively when you're blocking left or when you're blocking right. All right, so back to this. All right, so you got motion, which is good. All right, so here we go, and he has to bang it. That's a bang. He cuts it straight up between the guard and tackle because there's nothing else to do, right? That's a zone. It's a simple zone, power zone. Right, power zone to the left. He hits it right up where he should. And Ezekiel is making the right read there. I mean, he's doing exactly what he should do. So here he is. He got to bang this. But look at this. Josh Allen gets off on Tyler Biadasz again. He gets off the block on Tyler Biadasz again and makes a tackle a yard in the backfield because Tyler Biadasz is helpless and he couldn't block the man. And so you got front side, run that, Boss Cowboy. So run that play. So let me teach you guys something about zone. So the thing that messes up zones the most is front side penetration. Stop. Go back again. So you see Tyler Biadasz get shoved into the backfield. You see him getting off. So Tyler Biadasz got beat on that play. All right, now the next play, you're going to see, look at the center. Tyler Biadasz is getting pushed back. So what messes up zone plays is quick penetration. Quick penetration and let it run just a little bit more. Right there. So look at Tyler Biadasz. Look at how much push you got. So look, he's almost a yard and a half or so behind Doug Martin, number 70. Notice that. He's not covering up his man. His man is pushing him back. So what happens with Ezekiel Elliott when he gets this ball is that he's going to try to slip in between Martin and Steele, but he really should cut it back. Now, if he cuts it back, if they're pursuing and you're not clean on your backside blocks, he's going to get tackled. Let's see what happens. But what messes this up and it causes the stutter by Ezekiel Elliott is the quick front side penetration by the nose technique on Tyler Biadasz, a.k.a. Josh Allen, the all-pro beast. Let's run it. So notice he stutter steps. Because of that penetration, he stutter steps. And now he's going to try to get out the front door, right? He's trying to sneak out the front door, which is the right thing for him to do. But again, people coming off blocks and they made the tackle. So that's still a 4-yard gain there. Okay, that's not bad. Still a 4-yard gain, but it is what it is. But notice you guys are going to see the exact same run plays, all right? Again, lead zone, all right, boom. I mean, you getting whooped. Ain't no play for that right there. Just look at that pain, and these boys are just gang tackling this boy in the backfield. It ain't no play for that. So, but what you want to do if you get in front side penetration, right, is this, right? Is you want to be able to, and that's pain in the backfield. See, that's horrible. So go back and rewind that. So now as an offensive coordinator, right, let's get into this. What you want to do is you want to, okay, man, these guys are getting quick penetration. You want to start to double team pain, number 94. You don't want to leave him single block. You're creating yourself a recipe for disaster because you're not running traps. You're not running toss sweeps and making these guys have to sprint sideline to sideline. You're reach blocking. You're trying to zone these guys that are superior one-on-one defenders. Again, I'm gonna say that again. These guys are superior one-on-one defenders. Okay, so Aaron Donald, he is who we playing this week. He's
right.
Superior, elite one-on-one defender. So in other words, you're not gonna block him on one guy. So when you have people like that, you need to do things that you can lay on them a little bit. You can wear on them. You can pound them a little bit, which is double teaming front side, right? Counter traps, right? Pull not your guard and a tight end who can't even block. That's so dumb, right? And I'm just going to say it, it's dumb. Pulling Schwartz, our tight end, around Schultz to block on a counter trap is dumb. He's not a blocker. He's going to get blown up. He's not going to do nothing for you there. If you pull, you're going to pull your left guard and you're going to pull your left big, huge rookie tackle and create cavernous gaps, which has been very effective every time we run that play because we got power blocking on their best defender play side, down blocks on the front side with Steele and Zach Martin, two of the best in the game, and then you have these big guys pulling around. Or you come out now with the toss. All right, you can run the toss, which is a down block by the tight end, and you can have either Tyler Smith pull around the horn and lead block for Ezekiel Elliott and or Tony Pollard, and you also can do this with a very athletic right tackle in Terrence Steele. And so when you do those things, that causes the linebackers not to run so freely and be so trigger happy on shooting gaps, because if they do, they could get pancaked and knocked on their tail. Right? But if you don't give them a threat and you just run left, you run right, you run dive straight at you, it's very simplistic and it's very easy to read. And what you're counting on, if you're saying I'm running left and right like that, you're saying this. You're saying, look, man, my offensive line is bigger and stronger and more talented than you. And in every game and situation, I'm going to say this. Ours is not, right? Not versus everybody, man. There are a handful of teams, and me and Boss Cowboy talked about this earlier, and here's the thing. We're going to play at least 4 of them, Boss Cowboy.
Talk about it.
That have at least elite inline defensive tackles that can defend against the run.
Right.
So we played against Tampa Bay, right? Vita Vea. Those guys are pretty good. We did a good job in that game, but they got linebackers that can sprint, so it's hard, okay? Now, you also played against the Commanders. You got Josh Allen and you got Payne. Those guys are elite. Those guys are going to be hard to run on. Now, you got coming up the LA Rams. You got Aaron Donald, and you got very, 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 very athletic and fast linebackers. Those guys can run. All right, those guys are sprinters. They're sprinters playing linebackers that happen to weigh 245 pounds. Those guys are fast. All right, you got those guys. And then you got Green Bay, okay? Green Bay, who has really a really good, solid front, man, that is strong on the inside. And then I would say, last but not least, if you play a Kansas City type and you got Chandler Jones, man, and if he's in playoff mode, like you can't barely block him with 2 or 3 people. He can take over a game on the interior of that line if he's motivated. So this is what I think, man. I think that you have to really set up your team with chances to succeed and run packages, all right? And so and then also you got, Philadelphia, who I apologize I did not mention. You got Philly, man. And so with teams like that, you want to do motion jet. Motion jet allows you to identify if it's man coverage and if it's zone. You can fake off the motion jet as well. You get the linebacker sprinting one way with the motion jet. They go with the motion. It clears up a quick zone going opposite or a quick dive if you want to run dives, right? But you're having your linebackers move, right? You're taking advantage of them being over-aggressive and over-committed to stopping plays outside, and you use the motion. You can even play action pass off of the motion, right? If Dak was here, not Cooper Rush, you could actually do a read option off that jet and then do a QB dive or QB run, right? So there are several variations that you can do with the motion. There's several variations that, if you're creative enough, even with the counter trap, you can play action pass off that counter trap, Boss Cowboy, and be very, very effective because other teams have done it. And I'll tell you a guy who does it beautifully, Andy Reid with the Kansas City Chiefs. He will run a counter trade and have Pat Mahomes pull up and straight throw a touchdown on you. because you're playing the counter trade. So if you do that and you implement some of these strategies, you give your team and your offense, based upon our strengths, the best opportunity to win and be successful. And that's what we're talking about here, man, in terms of solutions.
And then the last solution was the screen game and the short passes, because everything that we talking about and the OC is talking about is how do you deal with the games to where we not gonna have the interior advantage. Because remember, especially in the division, y'all, and we just trying to talk straight football. We just talking straight business right now. We all know that this division knew our strength for years. What have people been saying for years? The strength of the Dallas Cowboys is the offensive line.
Right.
You don't think over years they built to counter that? And so and other teams are just built Fort Tough as well. So this is not about just slapping up on Kellen Moore and talking about the predictableness of his actual game plan versus the Commanders. It's more so about what should we be looking for when we face teams that's built similar like we do have coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And I think that just to finish the points that we were talking about, you know, another great thing that you can do that doesn't put a lot of pressure and a lot of read pressure and allows him to get the ball out quick, which to me is ideal for Cooper Rush in this environment, unless it's like an obvious passing down, is the short screen game. You can allow the rush to come upfield, let them, because especially with aggressive people like the Rams, right? I think the screen game will be perfect with Tony Pollard sneaking out of the backfield, and then letting them run at Cooper Rush, have them back up, and then throw the ball at the last minute with lead blockers, your offensive line out in the front, and wide receivers out there is great. I think even if you want to go to spread Kellen Moore, this will give Kellen Moore some of what he wants. Go to spread, man. Go to spread. That's fine. Go to spread. And then throw the quick screen pass to CeeDee Lamb if they're playing off, and let him get up the field and get busy. Right, he's done that earlier and got a first down doing it. I think versus Tampa Bay, he called that play. It was a short screen pass. Right now, another thing you can do, they're playing off. Hey man, run a quick quick slant route. It's a catch and release. Run an out route. Right, it's a catch and release route. Right, you can roll out and throw it a hitch. And now he does do this when you're trying to convert runs to pass. He'll line up in trips, and he'll have the tight end basically just run a hitch, which is basically run 5 yards, turn around, and catch the football, right? Those are quick things you can do if they're playing off. But here's the thing that I'm concerned about, and why we have to be a little bit more creative, because I don't think that the defense of the LA Rams are going to play off a lot. I think they're going to be right up in our grill, and I don't think they have a mentality like you can run past us. I don't think they think that we can run past them. I expect them to play as tight. Now, if they play as tight, Boss Cowboy, now it's acceptable to double moves, right? And so give them a double move, let them be aggressive, and try to hit something over the top if you can. But you still got to mix it up either way, man, to be more effective.
Yeah. And speaking of the Rams, I know a lot of people have been looking at how we match up statistically against them, but I'm almost certain, and I'm going to get to DMV. He got a good question up in here, and I'm going to get to them super chats. I've been seeing it, y'all. I think they're going to run the ball. I'm almost, and see, it's because of economics now. It's economics. You got to protect your quarterback. They go run the ball to protect the quarterback. So, but they go also try to run the ball to win. They not go do what Kellen Moore was doing. They not gonna just run the ball to run the ball. They not gonna have a sabotage mentality. They not. So, and I'm not saying we should be afraid of them. I'm just anticipating what I think they gonna do, even though they have not been doing it. You know what I mean? We know they've been passing a lot. We know that. We know they don't have a lot of run attempts on the year. I got their run attempts right here. They hardly have any rushing attempts. But watch against Dallas. They go change, OC. They go change. And see, a lot of people, in my opinion, they thinking it's just about X's and O's and strategy. You got to also think about economics and survival. From a survival standpoint, they not gonna want our top pass rush teeing off on their investment in the Stafford.
Yeah, I think that they're going to be caught between a rock and a hard place dealing with the Dallas Cowboys defense in some scenarios. If they're able to use motion and use traps and pin LVE in particular, man, they're going to be successful running to whichever side he lines up on. I think that's really the deal, and we're going to have to come downhill from a safety position and be ready to make tackles. I think that in certain situations, based on our personnel, if we got the run personnel in there, we do a pretty good job getting our run fits, and that we're going to get them in some third and longs. That's what I think. So I think that based upon, basically, to your point, Boss Cowboy, they're going to live or die based upon how effectively they run the football.
Yeah.
But if we're able to get them in third, if we're able to get them in third and long with Matthew Stafford, they're going to be in some trouble.
Yeah. And then DMV, in the chat going hard. We supposed to be doing a show on Friday, DMV, man. So I know you ready. We go just, freestyle and talk ball about the Rams. But DMV, man, he's a ex-coach, man, and he got a lot of good football knowledge. He asked a question for UOC. He said, question, have we been using Noah Brown as the split Y on some of the toss cracks? I have a theory that we've been running 12 personnel with Noah playing some split Y.
You know what? That's a great question, Coach. And I haven't seen exactly his alignment in that 12 personnel. That's something I'll have to go back and look at. That's not something I was paying a lot of attention to. I have seen us, in line try to use Schultz, right, as a blocker, front side and back side, which I am a proponent that he doesn't need to be in there in obvious running situations. I think that that's one of the biggest Achilles tendon. I'm not even really worried about the crack. I'm worried about inline and getting bullied at the line of scrimmage. And I think that if you get in Jake Ferguson, who you drafted to replace Schultz, he's a much more willing and physical and able blocker, and he can help you front side or back side based on the design of the run play much more effectively than Schultz can. Schultz, you should split out as a slot and just almost use him kind of just like a receiver and use him as a run, as a short pass / run option with throwing him short hitch routes and stuff, or out routes and things like that.
Right, I love it, OC. And on the super chat, I also feel and it was Common Sense Lab that came up to what I think need to be the official campaign on Kellen Moore is hashtag run outside the box, Kellen. Hashtag run outside the box, because that's what we were seeing for the most part from your film breakdown. Is it was a bunch of lazy zone plays. Just keeping it real, man. It was a bunch of lazy, just getting it off his call sheet. And I'm going to play this again because a lot of people don't really believe that this happened, but it happens. Because that's why I got to play it, because sometimes people late.
You being the play caller and being more hands-on in how that's run.
I don't think that's the best way to run an offense. I've told you the first day I was standing here, whoever calls the offense will install it. It's important for the player, and it's the way I've always done it. It's important for the play caller. It's the way I've always done it, that every call on that play sheet he has to believe in, because you won't call it. I've worked for some defensive head coaches that once in a while would have a great idea, and he's your boss, so you put it in the plan, and I'd run it in the first two plays just to get it off the goddamn call sheet. So
earlier in your play calling career, were you as persistent with the run when you're kind of beating your head against the wall like that?
Everything inside of me wanted to throw the football the entire Sunday. So, but you learn, you grow. I think it's just understanding there's different styles to every game. And
Run outside the box, Kellen. Hashtag run outside the box, Kellen. That's what because right now he being cute. In my opinion, he being cute. Oh, y'all want the third attempts? All right.
Yeah. And there, and I was talking to me and Boss Cowboy. We have some, man, we could really just post a lot of content just on personal conversation we have, but I'll share some of it with you here because I think it's relevant to this conversation. Kellen Moore is a coach that's in love with the call. He's in love with the aura and the feeling and the pizzazz of the call, which has good and bad attributes. It can cause you to be creative and overcome deficiencies on certain levels, because that's what he had to deal with at Boise State, because they weren't bigger, faster, stronger. They had to be very, very nuanced and somewhat gimmicky to be effective against some of the big time opponents they played against and to win some of those games. So I get that. However, this is the NFL, and you're not going to out gimmick many people. You're not. You're just going to have athletes and make sound decisions with that play sheet. And you can't be so in love with the call that you avert the management of the game and making the right decision in the right time during the game with the calls that you make. And I think that that's the maturation and the next step that Kellen Moore has to take as a play caller to truly be a great play caller, because it's not about the flair, right? It's about the effectiveness. And sometimes ugly and simple is the most effective and the best play call.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off. Up, down. Up, down.
Yep. It's just what it is, man. And going back to these super chats. All right, so Coach Marv had one. He said, no, I meant Kellen has to be committed to work on his passing to help Cooper with less option routes, but not committed to help Zeke and Tony Pollard in the running game. You with him on that?
Yeah, I think Coach Mark, you have a point in the fact that he simplified the passing offense to really help Cooper Rush be comfortable and really set up some good play action passes with him. I think that, I don't know that he's completely sabotaged Zeke and I'm thinking through this as we kind of go through it. I don't know if he's completely sabotaged the run game, right, with Zeke and Pollard, but I can say this, is that he is not thinking through how to use them in run scenarios the best. I can say that, right? I think that it's more so of, here, I did it, right? I don't think it may be intentional, right? It may just be omission where he's not utilizing them in the best way. Because it's like, hey, man, I'm not running the lead dog with Pollard. I'm not doing that. He can do it. He's tough. He gonna do what he got to do. But is that the optimal way to use him, right? Or am I gonna get the best out of him by running that play with him, right? It's the thought process of how to use your personnel and what plays work the best with your personnel. And I think that's where you got to keep it in mind a little bit more. And I know that Kellen can do it, because anytime somebody come out and get on Kellen and the heat get thick, he come out the next game and he called a pretty doggone good game, right? But then, but again, it's not calling a good game here or there. It's the consistency and the commitment to develop and be a consistent, thorough play caller and maximizing every opportunity versus the front based upon the team, right? And using the scheme and not just the play.
Right. And Coach Moore said he just don't know how, OC. And see, I think it's a sabotage. I'm sorry. I think it's a sabotage of Zeke and Pollard. I think he's a Trojan horse through and through, dog. I'm just being all the way honest. I'm sorry. I know it sounds weird to some of y'all, but I don't care. That's my gut on this dude. Because it's just his stuff so out of whack. And I think it's a more so like a disdain. Similar to how Coach McCarthy said it. Just get it off my call sheet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's his spirit about it. So, and it's exactly to me what Coach McCarthy warned about. And that's why he said, I don't want to do Kellen like that. And it's sad because he don't do Fossil like that. He don't do Quinn like that. But front office basically forced him to have to do Kellen like that. He had to.
Right.
He had to. He wanted to give him the freedom. He wanted to treat him like a man. He wanted to be able to go to him and say, hey, man, I think we should run this. I know what you're trying to do. But, hey, man, it's going to be on you. Because I want you to definitely run it and have a conviction about your cause. But he can't. And I honestly feel like, just speaking freely, OC, I feel like front office have spoiled Kellen. I think they sent a message. I think they sent a message, a childish message, that basically Mike McCarthy is your leader by title only, but he don't have full authority. You do. And I think it's messing up Kellen. Just to be honest, it's making him almost like an untrained dog. We've all seen them dogs, man, that's just act up to where they trying to pull the owner. You know what I mean? He's that wild dog on a leash, and this environment made him like that. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's had, because he's the only layover from the previous staff. He has to have a feeling of being protected, of being insulated. And you don't coach your best in the professional football league if you feel like you're insulated. I think you coach your best if you feel like you coach it for your life. I think you play your best if you feel like, to a degree, you're playing for your life.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable, because we had that talk a couple years back about the environment, about the players. Same thing with certain coaches in this situation. Like, he needs to know that if I don't produce and I'm not good as a coordinator, man, somebody else wants my job. But if it's a feeling of safety, psychologically you don't get the best, and then you get rebellious and basically flipping off your dad when your dad's not gonna spank your butt, and being mouthy to your mom because you won't get put on punishment. It's that type. And I hate to use childlike analogies, but that's the best way for me to describe the hierarchy of authority and kind of how you deal with this type of situation. It's just because Kellen is of a such of that, hey, I gotta do what I gotta do. But he's had it's the feel I have is that he's had a lot of back office conversations, about his life and his future, and about their feelings about him, and it can show some in his actions.
Yep. Yeah, that's my intuition too.
That's what I think.
But hey, y'all, hey, we weren't gonna make this a long show. We want to kind of get in and out, give you the full sauce from the OC's film session, because we said we was gonna bring you the film about the lack of creativity that we saw versus the Washington Commanders. OC, I appreciate the breakdown that you did. Everybody really loved it. I've been reading the chat, man. They've been really, really rocking with you. This is gonna be something that the OC gonna be bringing on a weekly basis, and the OC been holding back a while. I'm just being honest. He been holding back in terms of his conceptual understanding of offensive principles. So you're gonna be seeing a lot more of that, and how to actually adapt to some of the problems that we seeing out of Kellen Moore with real solutions, OC. So obviously it'll be an honor for you to kind of before we do that, we always got to remind the people, man, y'all make sure y'all hit that
Please.
like, especially with
85 likes, 140 people, man. We got to get them likes up for y'all to step out of the building, get the likes up, help us promote the channel, push it forward, man. Helps our content be recommended to more people just like you who wants to get pure, unadulterated, real Cowboys content. And man, it just really helps the channel so much. So man, please hit that like button, guys. And also, man, don't forget, man, you can support us in the Cash App as well. Hashtag $BossCowboySports. Thank you for all those that are super chatted. We definitely appreciate you guys. Do not forget to comment, and sharing is caring, man. If you like the content, share the content, man. Follow Boss Cowboy Sports on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can follow me, OC100. Appreciate the love, William. OC100 on Twitter, man. Until next time, guys. See you.
see you, man. Y'all stay up. Peace out.
Boss Cowboy Sports, where your voice matters. Boss Cowboy Sports.